Hello, hello. This is just a quick note before the episode starts. We are currently getting ready for our next Talk Lit with Us episode, and we are looking for submissions. In these episodes, we respond to your hot takes, bookish or otherwise, and generally just let you take the reins for the episode. If you have something you'd like to get off your chest or contribute to the episode, you can send it to us on social media, email us at hello@talklitgethit.com, or, this is so exciting, you could send us a lovely little audio message through the link in our show notes. We would love to have your voices on the podcast, so please put your thinking caps on, your hater caps on, your big brain caps on, whatever caps you have at your disposal, and send them through. Enjoy the episode. Woman,
Witch,
myth,
mortal,
outcast,
lover,
destroyer,
survivor,
Circe. I think you go now.
Hello and welcome to Talk Lit Get Hit, a podcast where we read viral books the internet won't shut up about and rate them lit or shit.
We're your hosts, Bridget and Laura, lovers of sad girl fiction and tragic endings, fearers of smut, urban fantasy, and the who did this to you trope.
Join us as we pick apart all the books the internet loves
And embark on a journey to figure out why.
Before monsters learned their names, before heroes thought themselves immortal, there was a voice learning to speak. It's time for her story, not history, as we turn to Circe by Madeline Miller, a retelling and reimagining of Circe, the witch of the Odyssey, a story that promises to be absorbing, luminous and spellbinding, a feminist novel ripe for the #MeToo generation. As always, we'll see about that. Bridget, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I was re-listening to some of our past episodes this morning, getting ready for the recording today, and I feel like we haven't said, we'll be the judge of that for a long time. So I'm glad you've brought the energy back.
Yeah. Should I bring back cut the shit as well?
Yeah, cut the shit.
Well, actually, we can't cut too much shit because we thought we'd skip the monthly catch-up this time and head straight into a quiz about Greek mythology. This is something we failed to do for our Song of Achilles episode.
Yeah. I think it would have been very telling at the time. The episode wouldn't have been that surprising.
Do you think your knowledge of Greek mythology has improved since then?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think I've forgotten everything about Song of Achilles. I wiped it from my brain. I still know nothing, so we'll see.
So we actually found the most perfect quiz via BuzzFeed. It was posted on the 2nd of April, so that is 1 day ago for us at the time of recording. The name of this quiz is Most Americans Can't Pass This Embarrassingly Simple Greek Mythology Trivia Quiz, and it's kind of sad. We are not Americans, and we often do speak quite negatively about Americans, so there'll be a real chip on our shoulder if we don't do well.
Yeah, this might be redemption for the Americans. I'm hoping that having read Circe 2 times, I might be able to guess some of them. Fingers crossed it won't brand me American. The very first question we have is, who is the king of the Greek gods? And we have 4 choices. We have Poseidon, Zeus, Hades, and Apollo. Surely it's Zeus, right?
I think it's Zeus.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
King of the gods.
Tick. Number 2, who is the god of the sea? Is it Zeus, Ares, Poseidon, or Hermes?
I think it's Poseidon.
Yeah. Isn't that the dad in The Little Mermaid?
Well, no, that's Triton, right? Yeah.
That's Triton. Okay. Yeah. Poseidon. Great.
Poseidon rules the seas.
I love how you've got little catchphrases for each of them. I can't wait to see this continue. Number 3, what weapon is Zeus known for using? Is it a sword, a lightning bolt, a trident, or a bow and arrow? Lightning bolt?
I think you're right.
Okay, great.
Zeus wields a lightning bolt. Now I have to keep going.
Number 4, who is the goddess of wisdom? Hera, Aphrodite, Athena, or Artemis? I'm out for this one, I think. I'm going to go Athena.
I think it's Artemis.
Oh my God, it's Athena.
Oh, is Artemis the god of war maybe? I don't know.
Artemis is the god of foul.
The catchphrase just says, Athena is the goddess of wisdom. Yeah, thanks.
Number 5, who is the god of war? Is it Ares, Apollo, Hephaestus, or Dionysus?
I think Ares.
Yeah, I was thinking Ares.
And again, Ares is the god of war. They're really losing their flair with these.
They are. Number 6, what is the home of the Greek gods called? Is it Valhalla, Asgard, Elysium, or Mount Olympus?
Well,
Valhalla is the Vikings, and they talk about Mount Olympus in Circe.
I think Mount Olympus.
Okay, same. Great.
Yep.
Number 7, who is the goddess of love and beauty? Is it Athena, Aphrodite, Hera, or Demeter?
Surely Aphrodite.
Yeah, great. I think we can guess most of these. We've been doing well. Who is the hero in Greek mythology known for his incredible strength? Perseus, Odysseus, Achilles, or Heracles?
Heracles?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Oh, great. And that's actually clarified something because I thought that Heracles and Hercules were two separate people, but apparently, same person here.
Heracles or Hercules was super strong. Thanks.
Who is the god of the underworld? Is it Hades, Thanatos, Sharon, or Erebus? It's Hades.
Hades, yeah. Hades rules the underworld.
Number 10. What creature has the body of a lion and the head of a human? Is it a minotaur, centaur, sphinx, or harpy? Well, I don't think it's a minotaur.
No, that's bull and something.
As we learned.
Yes. Centaur.
Is a horse. Horse, keep going.
Sphinx.
Cat. Isn't a sphinx a cat?
Sphinx, isn't that ancient Egypt? I thought harpy was like a water thing.
I thought harpy was like a little promiscuous girl.
I'm loafing right now. Like, you know how the Sphinx
in
the desert?
lion is a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sphinx. What did Theseus use to find his way out of the labyrinth? Was it a map, a ball of thread, breadcrumbs, or a compass?
Was this in Looking for Alaska?
Oh my God.
How will we ever get out of this labyrinth of Greek mythology quiz?
Labyrinth of piss.
I mean, a compass seems way too obvious.
Breadcrumbs is Hansel and Gretel.
A ball of thread?
Yeah, I'm going to go ball of thread.
Surely not a map.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes.
Is that in Circe?
I don't think so.
It's a labyrinth, isn't it?
Who was the Greek hero, here we go, of the Trojan War known for his near invulnerability? Hector, Odysseus, Achilles, or Ajax? Actually,
I think it's Ajax.
yeah, I'm not really confident anymore because I thought they were all pretty main players.
Surely it has to be Achilles.
Let's go with that. But he has one vulnerability and it's his Achilles heel. Yes.
Great. What was the name of the ship Jason sailed on to find the Golden Fleece? Was it the Odyssey, the Argo, the Pegasus, or the Trireme?
Keep going.
I'm going to pick the Trireme.
I'm going to pick the Argo.
Oh, you're right.
Oh.
You're a genius.
Who was punished by having to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity? Tantalus, Sisyphus, Ixion, or Prometheus?
Sisyphus. Yeah.
Sisyphus pushes a boulder forever.
Great.
Nice.
Wow. You scored better than 37% of all other quiz takers.
I'm being heralded as a mythology enthusiast. Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Liar.
Mine says you scored better than 50% of all other quiz takers. Not bad. It says, you've got a solid grasp on Greek mythology and you'd clearly know your way around Mount Olympus. You've probably read at least one book about Greek mythology. I mean, that's true.
That is true.
And it does say, yes, Percy Jackson counts. And you've definitely encouraged friends to do the same.
That's not true.
Hats off to you.
I think we've done the opposite of that. I think that's a great segue into talking about our theme of the month. Obviously, our theme of the month is retellings and reworkings. We have covered a few of these on the podcast already. A few of the ones that spring to mind are Bridget Jones's Diary, which is, of course, a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. The Favourites, which is a retelling of Wuthering Heights, and Twilight, which is also a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, among other things.
It is the source.
It is the source. But I think we need to address the elephant in the room, the Song of Achilles.
Most notably.
Yeah. We first read this book in March of 2024 and we released an episode on it. It was, how can I say this? Not my favourite book. And it was not your favourite book.
No, but I really do think it's taken on a life of its own. Like, I feel like I've kind of mythologized the reading experience of it because I didn't like it.
No.
But I mean, it's so far from the worst book we've read.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But in my head, it was an awful experience.
It has a passionate fan base and has been a source of like constant ridicule on our show since then.
Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, the Song of Achilles is also a retelling and reimagining of the story of Achilles and Patroclus, his best friend / lover. So the book we're reading this month on the show, Circe, picks up sort of where the Song of Achilles left off. We have many a fun nod to the characters we know and love. But I was wondering, before we get too far into it, were you already familiar with the story of Circe?
I forced myself to read the Odyssey a few years ago, but I didn't realise that this story overlapped with that one until she started turning men into pigs. And I was like, And then Odysseus turned up and I was like, please, God, no, I can't do this again. Go away. Saying that, I didn't really remember anything other than her turning the men into the pigs and Odysseus staying on an island, one of many islands he's stayed on for a bit. Yeah, were you familiar with the story?
Only vaguely. I would say I have the loosest knowledge. Like the things with the pigs and the things with Odysseus rocking up and taking 10 years to get home ring a bell. But I've never read anything about it or watched anything about it. So for the uninitiated, the commonly told story about Circe is something like this. So Circe was a goddess of Greek mythology. Her father was the sun god Helios, and her mother was, depending on the source, either a naiad or the goddess of magic Hecate. And I've never said that before. She is rarely described as a goddess, though. Most people think of Circe as a sorceress, a witch, or even a temptress. That one crops up particularly from the perspectives of men. She is most famous for her role in the epic story of Odysseus. She initially seemed like a threat to the lives of his crew, but she became one of the men's greatest benefactors. Without Circe's assistance, it is doubtful whether Odysseus would have survived his treacherous journey at all. And I just want to say that I completely ripped that blurb from the article Circe, the famous sorceress of Greek legend, from Mythology Source. So I'll pop a link in the show notes. So, Bridget, I think you were probably the most vocal hater amongst us of the Song of Achilles, and therefore I would particularly love to know how you're feeling heading into reading Circe by Madeline Miller.
I felt nothing but trepidation. I had a really bad time reading the Song of Achilles. I guess I was a tiny bit hopeful that my recent trend of liking things I've previously hated, A Bug's Life, The Catcher in the Rye,
Yeah,
would pop up again with this book. So I was like, please let me like it. How about you?
Yeah, I was curious in spite of it all. I think based off my experience reading Achilles, I wasn't excited, but for some reason I do own a copy and I have repeatedly been adding it to my TBR pile. So I can't really explain why or the draw it had on me, but something has been compelling me to read this book. So an element of mystery, if you will.
Be warned and take heed that in these next conversations you will most certainly be privy to spoilers, observances, and all manner of expulsions and interpretations related to the text Circe as penned by Madeline Miller. If you would like to keep this knowledge secret and safe, pause the episode, subscribe to the show, and come back when you're finished reading.
A content warning for the episode: Circe contains mature themes including rape, familial abuse, and violence and death.
Woman,
Witch,
myth,
mortal,
outcast,
lover,
destroyer,
survivor.
Circe.
In the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born.
Circe is a strange child, not powerful and terrible like her father, nor gorgeous and mercenary like her mother. Scorned and rejected, Circe grows up in the shadows, at home in neither the world of gods or mortals. But Circe has a dark power of her own, witchcraft.
When her gift threatens the gods, she is banished to the island of Aiaia, where she hones her occult craft, casting spells, gathering strange herbs, and taming wild beasts.
Yet a woman who stands alone will never be left in peace for long, and among her island's guests is an unexpected visitor, the mortal Odysseus, for whom Circe will risk everything.
So Circe sets forth her tale, a vivid, mesmerising epic of family rivalry, love and loss, the defiant, inextinguishable song of a woman burning hot and bright through the darkness of a man's world. Okay, Bridget, I feel genuinely a little bit scared to ask, but having read Circe by Madeline Miller, how are you feeling?
Unfortunately, this book did next to nothing for me. When I finished it, my main thought was, well, this isn't for me because I know nothing about it. But in the week since I finish it, that opinion has like morphed into a little bit more anger. And it's like, shouldn't this book be a gateway for me? Shouldn't this be something that is pulling me and wanting to teach me about the world of Greek mythology? It's pushing me away. I fully acknowledge I'm coming into it with like a deep bias and like hatred for myths and epics. There was just nothing for me to like grasp onto. I think the last third of the book was more interesting, but I can't even tell you how bored I was for the majority of the book. Like I would read a page and just be like, when is this going to end? I would also like to say that I'm disappointed because I've been watching a lot of interviews with Madeline Miller and she seems so articulate and intelligent, thoughtful, like funny, exactly who I want to be when I grow up. And it's not for me. And that's okay.
That's so beautiful.
I want to like it. I just can't.
That's,
So sorry. How do you feel about it?
I actually really liked this book.
That's good. I thought you would.
Yeah.
It's better than Song of Achilles.
It's so much better. And I would say I actually had like the opposite reading experience of the Song of Achilles, because when I first started reading Circe, I was like, ugh. I had like a bones deep exhaustion. Like it took so much for me to get into it.
The start was rough.
Yeah, and she's banging on about like eels and there's so much flowery language, and I thought, oh God, it's all the things I really didn't like about Achilles. Like I thought it was just going to be more sort of self-congratulatory purple prose.
Yeah.
And I was so close to messaging you to say, spoiler alert, we're in for a repeat with Circe, because I'd started reading it and you hadn't. But I remembered reading Achilles and messaging you to say, it's actually kind of good. I think you're going to be surprised. And then going on and being like, oh no, shit, it sucks.
Yeah.
And so I held off. I did find the first quarter quite slow. I think that's a theme across a lot of the reviews that I've seen. But then suddenly I found myself quite swept up by it. Like I just felt that I was in a bit of a meditation or like some sort of like spell had been cast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just clicked. I don't think this book was good enough for me to give Achilles a second chance, because I've been thinking long and hard about this. I think it's the nature of this story. It's the tone. It's the protagonist that won me over. But I liked it all the same.
I think when she got to the island, things really picked up.
Yes.
I don't like reading about other gods or the other people in her family, but I think when she got on her own, that's where it sort of started to pick up for me. But the start was so boring.
I completely agree, because I think what I liked about this book wasn't so much that Greek mythology aspect, although I will admit I probably like that more than you. Actually, it's not that hard to like that more than you. I do like it more than you. But I still find it pretty like it's weird shit happening. I don't really care to hear about someone fucking a cow.
No.
Different strokes, different folks. I draw the line at credence, okay? Yeah. But what I liked about this story was kind of like the commentary on like women's work. And those were the most like rewarding kind of engaging passages for me. So it's not really anything to do with Greek mythology, but it's like how Madeline Miller's beautiful writing works with that kind of commentary.
The times where I could take it away from what it actually is were the best parts for me. I would love to read a book about a witch on an island just going into the woods and picking herbs and like trying to think like, what is my purpose in life? What am I doing here? It was when it came back to the gods and prophecies and all of these things, that was where it fell flat for me.
Let's get further into it. You mentioned before that you had watched or read some interviews with Madeline Miller, and I feel like we didn't talk about her that much in our Song of Achilles episode, and she's really interesting. Would you care to share what you learned?
The main thing that really endeared her to me was just her love for these stories that she's retelling. I think it's a really admirable thing to love something so much that you want to, I don't know, put your spin on it and sort of represent these characters that might have been underrepresented or misrepresented in the past. So she actually said in the interviews that she was first introduced to the works of Homer as a 5-year-old.
Wow.
Her mother, there's no hope for us. Her mother would actually read them to her as a bedtime story.
Wow.
And when she was 13, I think she first read either the Iliad or the Odyssey. I can't quite remember which one. And then in high school, she had a teacher that was very passionate about this, and he taught her to read ancient Greek. So she was able to read the texts in their original language. And she said that was just mind blowing, been the passion of her life. And she was able to read it as a source. And that was very impressive. She went to university and she continued to study classical texts. She's been a high school teacher of Latin, Greek, and Shakespeare for over 15 years. And she also said that she wrote the Song of Achilles over a period of 10 years and it was a secret project. She didn't really want to put it out there that she was writing this retelling of the Iliad or of these classics because she was afraid of the backlash in the classics community. But she said that when she finally told her mentor, she had the finished book in her hands and said, I've rewritten this story. And he said to her, please tell me you made them gay.
Oh.
So she was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
She doesn't teach full time anymore. I think she is writing full time now. She said that maybe her next project will be a retelling of The Tempest. When she was in college, one of her friends asked if she was interested in directing a Shakespeare play, and she did that and fell in love with directing and she fell in love with Shakespeare. So that will be very interesting.
I'd like to read that.
I think I'd like that more.
So Circe was her second novel, published in 2019, and it was an instant #1 New York Times bestseller. It also won the Indie Choice Best Adult Fiction of the Year award and the Indie's Choice Best Audiobook of the Year award. Did you listen to any of the audiobook?
Yeah, I read it and I listened.
Yeah, I really liked that audiobook as well.
Yes.
Perdita Weeks was the narrator there, and I think she did an excellent job. On her website and across the internet, it does also say that Circe is being adapted for a series with HBO Max, but I couldn't really find anything else about that, and what I could find was pretty outdated, so I get the sense it's not really going anywhere.
She also made reference in one of the interviews I watched of Achilles being adapted.
Well, I mean, this is just so ridiculous because I watched like 2 episodes of Heated Rivalry and I didn't really like the Song of Achilles, but I have to say I've been seeing a lot of people fan casting the one with the curly blonde hair, Connor Story, as Achilles. I just think he's so beautiful and he has such an interesting face, and that could get me excited about it. Yeah. That's how great he is. I was kind of intrigued to learn that this book was published in 2019 because I think a lot of the marketing around it is like feminist epic, telling her story, not his story, for the Me Too generation type language was really reminiscent of like 2016 or an earlier era. Not that there's anything wrong with being a feminist, but I do tend to find those kinds of buzzwords pretty off-putting on a book because I feel like in the past when I've taken a leap of faith on books marketed in that vein, they've been pretty surface level and pretty disappointing.
It just never seems to hit as hard as it says it's going to hit. Like it's always some pretty basic take, like women should have rights.
Yeah. I mean, think about some of the other podcast books we've read that have been marketed as feminist novels, like
Very
Eat, Pray,
first
Love.
one. Oh, yes, and romantic comedy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like Taken Back, what's hers? Ugly woman dates hot man.
They're in a COVID bubble together and her stepdad shits himself.
Yeah, I just think they never like hit and they never really reach the expectations that I have for them. When I was watching the interviews with Madeline Miller, it was obviously around the time when the abortion bans first started really kicking in America, or they were being spoken about, you know, going through the courts or whatever. And it was at the end of Donald Trump's first presidency. And she spoke so eloquently about all of these things. Like the interviewer was, I feel like he was trying to get it like gotcha moments and trying to trip her up. She was too smart. He couldn't do it. The way she linked the feminism in the book with real life happenings at the time, it was really, really interesting, and it made me appreciate the book more.
There was a really great quote from Madeline Miller in an interview for World History Encyclopedia by James Blake.
William Blake.
By James Blake Wiener.
Wiener.
There was a really nice quote from Madeline. Change your name, for God's sake.
Just do James Blake.
There's a quote I liked from Madeline Miller in an interview with James Blake Wiener for... I can't do it. Maybe I'll just say... Okay, I'll say something different. I can't get it out.
It's too ridiculous.
Grow up, get a real name. There's a quote from Madeline Miller that I liked from an interview in World History Encyclopedia. It's linked in the show notes. But in it she says, in the Odyssey, Circe is very clearly the incarnation of male anxiety about female power. The word witch is still used today as a slur against women with an amount of power that makes society nervous. I'm always interested in people that others are actively trying to keep quiet. And I think that quote, particularly the last bit, highlights something that I did really enjoy in this book. It's that asking why. It's like basic gaps and silences.
Yeah.
She's turning men into pigs. Don't you think we want to know why?
Yes.
And when you look at the story from Circe's perspective, there's an extremely justifiable reason for that to occur. And the reason provided by the book is that the men were coming to her island, her place of sanctuary, her home, and raping her. Those passages in the book weren't gratuitous, but still pretty difficult to read. I might read out a couple, so if you're sensitive to this kind of thing, skip ahead maybe like a minute or two. The first and I think only time that she is raped by one of these characters is when a ship full of men arrive on the island. She welcomes them in, gives them food, wine, shelter, and then they start questioning who they should thank for the hospitality. And when they realize there is no man, the dynamic quickly shifts. In the moment, Circe says, "A mortal would have fainted, but I was awake for every moment. At last I felt the man tremble and his arm loosened. My throat was crushed inward like a rotted log. I could not seem to move. A drop of sweat fell from his hair onto my bare chest and began to slide. I became aware of his men speaking behind him. 'Is she dead?' one of them was saying. 'She better not be dead. It's my turn.' A face loomed over the captain's shoulders. Her eyes are open. And as horrible as that is to read, I think you have to illustrate that point to show the push. And so in the next section, she says, 'I did not send my animals away anymore when men came. I let them loll where they liked around the garden under my tables. It pleased me to see the men walk among them, trembling at their teeth and unnatural tameness. I did not pretend to be immortal. I showed my laminate yellow eyes at every turn. None of it made a difference. I was alone and a woman, and that was all that mattered.'"
I heard her speak about her time in university, and she said that when they were studying these classic books, often there are rapes happening in the stories, and she said that she was often the only woman in the room, and the way that the other men in the room just skipped over them happening was quite astounding to her. And so she said that when it came to writing these stories from a woman's perspective, that she wanted to make it clear that that's what was happening.
Kind of like look it in the eye.
Yeah. And like represent things as they were, allowing that woman's story to be heard.
Yeah, like the bald, ugly truth of what it means to be a woman in that world. I think also it was important for her to illustrate what was happening to Circe, because it's an inversion of the traditional depictions of Circe, which are exclusively told from a male perspective. She's the scorned woman, she's enraged, she's jealous, she's a temptress or seductive, she's angry, she's a witch. I mean, I know it's Greek mythology, but no one is ever just one thing for no reason. I think also this story does a good job of showing the gradual sort of galvanizing of this character. Like, she's so soft and so meek at the start of the book. We see highlighted this kind of discrepancy between the way that men and women are treated in this novel. For example, her brother is like given a kingdom and praise for the same talents that she's punished and banished to the island for. And obviously there's a lot of historic context there. But looking at this story in a modern context means that we can highlight these things.
She said that in going back to the text, she felt as though she was allowing the silenced voices, whether it be the voices of women, the voices of slaves, the secondary characters, the queer characters. In the case of Patroclus and Achilles, she felt as though she was allowing their voices and their stories to be heard. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, we hear a lot about the war and we hear all about the gods' kingdoms and how they are like havens for people and how the war was so successful and they were able to do this and they were able to do this. How are they able to do this? Like on the backs of slaves and on the backs of women. I still think that's a very relevant conversation to be having in modern day as well. Like if we consider the mental load that women in families still have, like the responsibilities of who's feeding the children, who's clothing the children, who's organising their appointments, who's organising them getting to school and their extracurricular activities and all of these things. Like even though it's a very different time and a very different context, we're still having those conversations. And like even just a few hundred years ago, countries were built on the backs of slaves, and that still hasn't really been addressed.
I think what you were saying about these great events or moments of history being built off the back of women or slaves is sort of something that I enjoyed about this book as well, because I think there is a real focus on quote unquote women's work in this book, and a focus on not letting it seem less than, showing that it is and treating it as work. What I'm mainly thinking of here is the depictions of witchcraft or sorcery, and showing it as like a practice and a honed skill rather than something that just happens. I think that's a thing I really didn't like about Achilles, was just stuff was just happening and it was fated by the gods. And that happens in this story, and those are parts that I didn't really like about this story. But there are some really nice quotes when Circe gets to the island and starts practicing and collecting her herbs and drying them out. One says, "Little by little I began to listen better. To the sap moving in the plants, to the blood in my veins. I learned to understand my own intention, to prune and to add, to feel where the power gathered and speak the right words to draw it to its height. That was the moment I lived for, when it all came clear at last and the spell could sing with its pure note, for me and me alone." Another quote said, "Let me say what sorcery is not. It is not divine power which comes through a thought and a blink. It must be made and worked, planned and searched out, dug up, dried, chopped and ground, cooked, spoken over and sung. Even after all that, it can fail as gods do not."
I really enjoyed the depictions of women's work as well, and it reminded me of something that I saw when I went to Sydney. I went to the Hyde Park Barracks, which is a convict-era building that has housed convicts and migrants and institutionalised women for around 200 years before it closed. There was a whole room, though, dedicated to female Irish immigrants who came to Australia in the 1840s as a result of the Great Famine, and there was another room dedicated to the institutionalised women as well. But they have artifacts from these women, like they have items of clothing and jewelry and like needlework and embroidery and sewing and like tokens from home. It was really nice to see these feminine items displayed, because the rest of the museum is like, here's where the convicts, I don't know why I'm using that voice, it's in Australia, here's where the convicts ate their dinner and they would gamble and they would have one cup of beer a night and whatever. But like there were stories of the friendship between the women and how they looked after each other, and they wrote letters home, and they had their like sweetheart tokens and all of this stuff. And it was really lovely. Whenever I travel, I like to go to these historical places and museums, and I think it's really sad that I can't remember before now seeing a female-focused exhibition or women-led history in one of these places.
That's so true.
I think like a refrain I often hear from like men's rights activists or like far-right people is, if we let the feminists take over, then we'll all be doing this and having to do this, blah, 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 without realizing that feminism actually brings up everybody in society, not just the women. Because, you know, as we know, it's not about having females be more powerful or having more rights, it's just about having equality. And Madeline Miller said she really liked writing about Odysseus' son, who found it very difficult to be the son of Odysseus because he wasn't that traditional Bronze Age hero who wanted the glory and the power, and he just wants something else. The society at that time and at this time, although, you know, the women make up maybe 50% of the population, it's not actually 50% that a patriarchal society is inhibiting. It's more than 50%. I mean, spoiler alert, I think he was my favorite character in the book. I liked how he knew himself and he didn't want to go in the way of his father. And he just wanted to carve out a little nice life for himself.
I really liked his character too. And I think his character, and obviously the character of Circe, had great themes of sort of like self-fulfillment and self-discovery. And particularly with Circe, obviously, because she's the narrator. There's lots of great quotes that I thought really resonated with the female experience today as well. It got me thinking of the "we was girls together" kind of quote, and then I was getting all emotional. But there was one where she said, "But there was no wound she could give me that I had not already given myself." And that came on the back of her mom or one of her, you know, sisters or whatever, speaking unkindly about her. And it really reminded me of a quote from the show Girls, where the protagonist, Hannah Horvath, says, "Any mean thing someone's going to think to say about me, I've already said to me about me probably in the last half hour." It's like, wow, we really all are the same.
Yeah.
I have a couple of other quotes to read out about courage or boldness or sort of existing in the world. The first is, "I had a wild thought there beneath that sky. I will eat these herbs. Then whatever is truly in me, let it be out at last. I brought them to my mouth, but my courage failed. What was I truly? In the end, I could not bear to know. Another says, "It is funny," she said, "that even after all this time you still believe you should be rewarded, just because you have been obedient. I thought you would have learned that lesson in our father's halls. None shrank and simpered as you did, and yet great Helios stepped on you all the faster because you were already crouched at his feet." And then a very nice passage when she finally arrives at the island says, "That is what exile meant. No one was coming, no one ever would. There was fear in that knowledge, but after my long night of terrors it felt small and inconsequential. The worst of my cowardice had been sweated out. In its place was a giddy spark. I would not be like a bird bred in a cage, I thought, too dull to even fly when the door stands open. I stepped into those woods and my life began." There's a couple of things about the ending of this book I wanted to discuss with you. So towards the end of the book, Penelope and Telemachus rock up at Aiaia to hang out with Telegonus and Circe. And by the end of this experience, Circe and Telemachus are an item.
Hottest it couple.
Ithaca's hottest couple. Look, this is a little bit unusual because Telemachus is Odysseus' son. Odysseus is her former lover and the father of Telegonus. It gets a little murky there.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I felt a bit weird about it, but I did like it.
Same.
So,
Came round.
I don't know. Yeah, I really liked him as a character, and I think that he was who she was searching for. Someone who got her and just was just content to be together.
Yeah, I liked that too. And I think this is something I was grappling with a little bit throughout the book because I was like, is it a feminist novel? Because there are all of these men coming in and she's just like hooking up with Apollo and then she's hooking up with Odysseus. Not to say that you can't be a feminist and hook up. I was going back and forwards, but I think I ended up feeling that the men sort of came in and out of the story, but they weren't central to the story. Although they had impact and like a purpose, they were kind of like a plot device that sort of furthered her understanding of herself or her place in the world. However, by the time she got together with Telemachus, it kind of felt like she could just be. She clearly thinks she has a good deal going on too because she decides to turn mortal for him.
Yeah. And I was comparing this to Cemetery Boys because I remember at the end of Cemetery Boys, there was a time where Yadriel was going to either sacrifice himself or sacrifice his magic to keep baby boy Julian alive or to bring him back from the dead or whatever was happening in that book. And we were at the time saying like, don't do that. You've known each other for 3 days. This is a very different situation. I think she has been alive for seemingly forever. She's had enough. I think it was the right choice. I think it was sweet. I think it's a great, I don't know, show of her love and like her humanity maybe to just want to die as a human. I think there were a lot of passages in Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, last month's podcast book, that really fit very well in this story. And just a lot of what is human life and what does death mean and what is the purpose of life. And I think that her decision to become mortal so she can age and her body can have marks and scars and she can die with the person that she loves. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I had that note too. I've definitely never been one to try to attempt a companion read before, but I thought these two were so comparable in themes and tone. We even get an Odysseus mention in Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I was pretty satisfied with that. And then there is a really beautiful quote at the end of the book where she says, "I wake sometimes in the dark, terrified by my life's precariousness, its thready breath. Beside me my husband's pulse beats at his throat. In their beds my children's skin shows every faintest scratch. A breeze would blow them over, and the world is filled with more than breezes. Diseases and disasters, monsters and pain in 1,000 variations. I do not forget either my father and his kind hanging over us, bright and sharp as swords aimed at our tearing flesh. If they do not fall on us in spite and malice, then they will fall by accident or whim. My breath fights in my throat. How can I live on beneath such a burden of doom? I rise then and go to my herbs. I create something. I transform something. My witchcraft is strong as ever, stronger. This too is good fortune. How many have had such power and leisure and defence as I do? Telemachus comes from our bed to find me. He sits with me in the green-smelling darkness, holding my hand. Our faces are both lined now, marked with our years. Circe, he says, it will be all right. It is not the saying of an oracle or a prophet. They are words you might speak to a child. I have heard him say them to our daughters when he rocked them back to sleep from a nightmare, when he dressed their small cuts, soothed whatever stung. His skin is familiar as my own beneath my fingers. I listen to his breath, warm upon the night air, and somehow I am comforted. He does not mean it does not hurt. He does not mean we are not frightened. Only that we are here. This is what it means to swim in the tide, to walk the earth and feel it touch your feet. This is what it means to be alive. Very nice summation of the book.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
On a
Prometheus.
Scale of 1 to 10, how cut would you be if your mum gave birth to you and then went and popped out some siblings and turned mortal for them so she could live a normal life with them?
I mean, to be fair to whatever his name is, I don't think he gave a shit. I don't think he even knew. I think he was like, peace.
I yearn to explore the high seas, Mama.
Bye, Mama. Think of me fondly.
That's true.
I would be pissed. 10 out of 10.
Same. Another failing of men. We need to hold more grudges.
It also would have been so funny if when she was like, hey, I want to be mortal now. Once the spell was finished, if she turned mortal, but like she turned into the body of like a 4,000-year-old woman.
You never know.
That would be insane.
What's your true self?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Withered crone. Yeah. Something that I was really confused of as I read this was that I think, and I could be wrong, that Circe pops up quite frequently on like queer reading lists.
Why?
Why? Because I thought like, I guess there's an aspect here where we could read this through a queer lens. Like it's sort of a little bit found family. She has an unconventional attitude towards men and relationships and motherhood for the time. But really, it's a pretty heteronormative story, especially in the way that it wraps up.
I think at one point somebody says to her, why don't you lay with the nymphs? And she's like, nah.
Yeah.
Like she's not even tempted.
Not keen. Thank you.
It's very strange because as we talked about in our Song of Achilles episode, I thought the Song of Achilles was about lesbians. And then you said, were you thinking of Circe? And then I was like, yeah, maybe I was thinking of Circe, but this isn't about lesbians either.
Did we make this up? Maybe no one's been saying that.
No, I think I've seen it as on lists as well.
I'm sure we've put it in a voting.
Yeah.
Or it's come up in like a question box before for like your favourite queer literature.
It's very strange.
It's time for most and least favourite characters, and I would really like to give you an opportunity to let rip. If there's anything you feel you've been holding back this episode.
No, because you know what? I've been flicking through my book and I'm looking at the notes I have made in the last half of the book. And there are some beautiful passages in the last half. Unfortunately, the start was so boring that it has clouded my judgment of the whole book. And I can't forget that. I can't forget how bored I was.
And we shouldn't.
I had to give myself treats at the end of each chapter. I was like, I'm going to give myself some TikTok time because I hate this book so much.
Hated it so much you downloaded TikTok again.
Yeah. And I was looking on Instagram. I was playing a game on my phone. I had to pace myself because I hated the start so much. But the last half of the book, I really enjoyed. Looking at beautiful passages about her son and about motherhood and just descriptions of like how she picked herself up and she just kept going and she went into the woods and all of these things. Lovely. I just wish that it was half the size of what it was. So yeah, that's all I've got to say, I think. I can't remember what the question was.
I didn't really ask one. I just gave you free license to go.
Yeah, I don't think I got that in the Song of Achilles one. I think I was muzzled.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
I think I was silenced.
Okay, that's great to hear then. So, tick, cut the episode. I'm really pleased to hear that. I always want you to be honest with me. Who is your most favourite character?
Well, it is the man whose name I've refused to say, but maybe I should give it a go.
Go on. Give it a go.
Telemachus. Is that right?
I've been saying Telemachus.
Telemachus, that sounds more right. My favorite character is Telemachus. I liked his steadfast view of what he wanted his life to be. Also funny how they were like, don't defy the gods, you'll regret it. But every time someone did, they were like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we'll send you to a sick island. Cool, I'll just ask your half-brother.
Yeah.
It's really not that big a deal.
One of my problems with this book was like every time an inconvenience with the gods did rock up, she was like, I knew what I had to do.
Yeah, I ran to the top of the mountain. I was imagining like Moana, like when she runs up to the top.
Don't bring that up. I'll burst into tears.
I know. There's a lie. Who was your favourite character?
Mine was probably Circe. I thought she gave life her all. She didn't back down. She didn't say what.
What? Actually, second favourite for me is a tie between Circe and her sister. Circe's sister. I actually really liked her. I think she was funny. Obviously a horrible, horrible witch, but sometimes she was funny.
Yeah, and she knew what was up.
She did. And she also knew that things were bad. She was just getting by.
How about your least favourite character?
I think her dad was boring and mean. I didn't really understand his motivations. I think that is my problem with the gods. I don't understand what they're getting from any interaction they have. They seem to change their mind on a whim. And I don't like that. I like to understand people's motivations. How about you?
Take your pick of anyone in her family. Her mother was horrible. Her father was horrible. Her brother was horrible. Possibly like the biggest betrayal as well, because he seemed to be such an ally to her cause.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like when the switch happened. I didn't really get what was going on.
I missed that too. Okay then, so the final question. Bridget, do you rate Circe by Madeline Miller lit or shit?
I really don't know. Listening to Madeline Miller talk and explain her book has really, lifted the book in my opinion. And also the last half of the book was better than the first half. So I might show some character growth and say lit. How about you?
You can retract it in our end of year wrap up videos. I would rate this lit. Like I said at the start of the episode, it hasn't inspired me to reassess my opinion of the Song of Achilles, but I would recommend this book to people. I think there's a lot that a variety of people would enjoy in this book. I'm shocked that I found joy in it, but I'm glad that I did.
So I guess when we do that BuzzFeed quiz again, it can be true that we have read at least one book and we have told other people to read at least one book.
Yes.
Good job.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. For our bonus chapter this month, we are revisiting the world of Curtis Sittenfeld and revisiting the world of Pride and Prejudice by reading Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. Have your say on what we read next by heading to the link in our show notes and on our socials. Make sure you subscribe to the show, and if you want to be on the same page as us, follow us at talklit.gethit on Instagram and TikTok.